behalf of the Youghal C.Y.M.S members and committee, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all players, supporters and spectators to our town over the weekend in October for the ICC. It's a fantastic town. I hope that everybody will get the benefit to enjoy it and experience it, and also to get the experience of our snooker rooms and fantastic snooker tournament play that we have to offer over the weekend as well. It's an absolutely fantastic honour for our club to hold such an prestigious international event such as this in our rooms. It's a relatively small town, but we have a fantastic club, well-run organisation, and it's the envy of all clubs in the country. So we're delighted to be able to hold a tournament of its stature in our rooms here. I'd just like to thank our main club sponsor, the Keys Bar and Restaurant. They're a fantastic organisation who have been outstanding to us over the last number of years, and once again for this upcoming tournament they've been outstanding, and they've given us fantastic backing and enabled us to hold this tournament over the weekend. I'd also like to pay particular mention to the Youghal Credit Union, who have also supported us over the last number of years and once again have done so for this tournament. All the locals in town, the C.Y.M.S is well known to all of them. They come out in force to support us for every event that we have. They'll all get behind us, and I'm sure they will for this weekend coming as well. I'd like to thank the organising committee from the Youghal C.Y.M.S, headed by Brendan Cooney. Done fantastic work in the background to enable this competition to be held in our rooms. To the other members of the committee as well, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and thanks very much to them for their hard efforts in enabling this to happen. I'd also just like to pay a massive thank you as well to the ICC Committee under the chairmanship of Robert Murphy, Eddie Ingle, Steve Merrigan and Brendan Thomas. They've put in tireless work from Dublin to hold this competition in Ireland. We've done so in the past. It's been a massive success, and we're delighted that they've put their faith and belief in the Youghal C.Y.M.S that we can hold it to such a high standard again as we have done in the past, and no doubt that the travelling players and supporters will be very impressed and enjoy their time here and enjoy the tournament. Just like to pay another thank you to Tony Thorpe of Newbridge C.Y.M.S. He's the tournament director for the weekend. It's a tough job and a tireless job, and he'll be kept going for the weekend, and thank you very much for stepping into the role. The tables here of excellent standard. As I said earlier, we're the envy of most clubs in the country, if not all clubs. It's 4 tables, but it's 4 fantastic tables, and beautiful championship cloths, fantastic atmosphere in the venue, and I think every player that has played here has been extremely impressed and would love to come back and play again. I'd like to congratulate all players that have been selected to play in this tournament, and in particular our own local players. We have Brendan Cooney, Christopher Cooney and Noel Landers, each of whom played last year in Montpellier in France and who have been selected again to play this year. It's a fantastic achievement, and one that we're ever so proud of here in Youghal C.Y.M.S to have 3 local lads playing in their local club in an international event representing Youghal and Ireland.
I would just like to take this opportunity to wish all of the players and the officials who are taking part in the ICC of 2019 here in our rooms in the local Catholic Young Men's Society. It's a great honour to have been given this tournament for the 3rd time. We've held it in 2013 and 2015. On both of those occasions, it was a 3-country tournament. We were able to welcome our friends from the Republic of Ireland, the team from Northern Ireland and the team from France. This year it has been extended to 4 countries, and we are delighted to extend a hand of friendship to the team from Scotland. The tournament will, as I say, will take place here under our 4 tables, and each table will be fitted out with new cloths. The week of the competition, the new sets of balls will be in play. So we would hope that everything will be in place for the players to promote their best game and to enjoy their snooker. The tournament will begin on Thursday morning at 10 AM, Thursday the 17th of October, and it will run for Thursday, Friday up until sometime Saturday 6 to 7 PM, when we would hope that we will have the closing ceremony. We are hopeful that we will have the opening ceremony at 7 PM on the Thursday night, and we will look forward to welcoming the 4 nations, players and officials, and also most importantly the referees who are coming of their own time. We have referees from each country, and we certainly are very, very grateful to them for coming over in their spare time and taking on the role, a role which is just as important as any player that is going to be playing. And as I say, the competition will start on the Thursday morning. Our doors will be open to the public from the moment that the competition starts. Everybody and anybody, be they local or be they here on holidays, are most welcome to come in and enjoy the snooker that is going to be shown over those 3 days. As I said earlier, this is the first time that we have Scotland coming to play in the competition here in Ireland, and obviously this is their first time coming to our shores here by the River Blackwater, the famous River Blackwater, where our club just strides alongside as you come into the mouth of the harbour. And we are thrilled and delighted. We've had occasion to know some of the Scottish lads, so we are thrilled and delighted to be able to welcome them. It is, while it's the first time a Scottish team has been here, it's not the first time a Scottish player has played in our rooms. We have had the great opportunity to host the world champions Stephen Hendry and John Higgins, both proud Scotsmen who have played in our rooms here, along also with the great Steve Davis, Jimmy White, and obviously our own former world champion and top player of the game, Mr. Ken Doherty. So our rooms certainly have seen some of the very, very best snooker players that have ever held the cue in the history of the game, and we look forward to a continuation of that over the period when we hold the International Challenge Cup. Also, the history of our club is vast. We have been a Catholic Yeoman Society since the early days of 1872, and it hasn't always been a snooker orientated club. Primarily in the early days, obviously, it was known as more of a billiard club, and it is from whence where all of our players, probably particularly those who came into our club, into our rooms in the 60s and 70s, that is where they started out. And obviously with the advent of colour television, then snooker came into our club as well, and we've promoted the game since then for not only our community here, but also in our county of Cork, and also in and around the country as well. And we've been extremely fortunate to have been able to hold many tournaments in terms of the national tournaments and international tournaments. So we are certainly well exercised in what we have to do to ensure that all of the players will have the proper logistics set to be able to promote their game over the course of the days. And also we have an excellent tournament director, Mr. Tony Top. Tony is currently the secretary of the Republic of Ireland Billiards and Snooker Association, and along with our local lads, he will head a team which will ensure that we will have a smooth and efficient running of the tournament. Our town of Youghal is steeped in history, so when you come, make sure if you have a moment or two to visit places like the Collegiate Church, and our own Clock 8, which is only just a stone's throw from where we are here, Cromwell's Arch. He was a well-known Englishman who spent a little bit of time here in our town, so some of our friends from England and I'm quite sure from Scotland will have heard of him as well. And so certainly we have a beautiful, beautiful town. As I say, we're straddled here by the River Blackwater, and our accommodation hosts is the Water Alley Hotel. Some of you who have been here have stayed there before, and that is situated by the picturesque Green Park, again straddling the River Blackwater, and the staff there are certainly looking forward to doing everything they can to make your stay a pleasant one. Also our main sponsors, which we would like to thank again, is the Keys Bar and Restaurant, which is only a stone's throw from our club here, and actually both facilities are within a 10-minute walking from our club, so everything logistically is set up, and again the staff in the Keys, Youghal and C.Y.M.S, will also look forward to extending their hand of friendship as well over the 4 days. From the logistics point of view, for the ins and outs of our town, we're just based near the town centre, so again we're only a stone's throw from the main street, where people can stroll and go in and take a look at our shops and whatever. Again, as I say, people who have been here before will be well versed in all of this, but there will be people here who will be of assistance in those terms to anybody who would like to inquire more about the history of a town. It is indeed a very, very historic town with old town walls, and we have an awful lot to offer outside of snooker. So for those of you who are coming with your partners, or who are not playing snooker, then there's also plenty for you to see and do during the course of your stay. If you go down further beyond from the Walter Alley, where you see the lighthouse that has been here for over 800 years, beyond that you will see a 4 kilometre long beach. It's one of the nicest beaches that you will find in the country, with a beautiful boardwalk, a few kilometres long. So certainly, there's every opportunity for people to enjoy their stay outside of the snooker, and that is just as important to us who are involved in this organisation here, because we always are aware of the promotion of our own town as well as the promotion of our sport. The uniqueness of the Catholic Youth Society here is its members and its people. They're the people who make it work, and we work hard on what we want to do and what we want to achieve. We certainly have come a long way from the days of the 60s and 70s, when the idea of a snooker club was a smoke-filled room. That has gone out the window now, and anybody who has come to our premises here, which we are in close on 40 years now in the premises here on the Market Square, they have been bowled over by our rooms. The great Jimmy White is quoted as saying, when he came to play an exhibition, this is a proper snooker club. And when Jimmy White, who's been in plenty of proper snooker clubs in London and all around the world, for him to say that, well, then obviously that is something that we are extremely proud of. And we would just hope, that the people who come to play the game will certainly play it in the spirit that is meant, because we will organise it in the spirit that is meant. The players will be so important to us, no matter whether you're a master or whether you're a junior or whether you're a senior. We'll have ex-professional players here who've been through it all, but I can promise you, when you taste the atmosphere in this club, when you're on a one table and the lights are out and the only light you see is the table light, then you know what atmosphere is going to be all about. And that is why people love to come here and play competitive snooker, because we have an atmosphere that is second to none, and we will recreate that atmosphere for all of the players who come. Particularly, I can sense it late on a Saturday when things are getting tight. You will see the atmosphere. You will have a full club, and the only lights will be on the table and the players who are on it. So we will create all of that for you, and we look forward to doing it. Club also can be found on the Youghal C.Y.M.S Facebook page, and so all the information that you're going to need really is going to be there. And but obviously, if that isn't sourceable to people, then it's just a case of pick up the phone and contact myself, and any information that you would need with regard to the weekend and the logistics of it, we'll be quite happy to help you out. I think that one of the greatest compliments that we have received during the holding of the ICC, particularly in 2015, was when there was each visiting captain came up and said a few words, and Daniel Pauly, who didn't have any English, came up and spoke in French. And it wasn't probably his position to do so, but he felt that it was important for him to do it because he just wanted to express his feelings, and he did it extremely emotionally, may I add. He wanted to express his feelings and his thanks as to how the competition was run here in 2015. And in his words, which at the time Stefan was translating them as Daniel spoke, Daniel in French, which I'm not going to try and say, but he called our club the Temple of Snooker. And you could see the sincerity you could feel the sincerity in his words, but you could certainly see the sincerity in his face. And it was something, I must admit, that took me by surprise, extremely pleasant surprise. But it was something, I suppose, that really summed up in a few words what we have here. When we have the proper tournaments, we have the people to hold them, and it was just an example of how people can say a few words and it can just catch a moment, and that moment has stood with me for a long time, and I think he caught the essence of this snooker venue. How did the concept of the International Challenge Cup come about, and when and where did it begin?
I suppose over a couple of years we've been looking at trying to do something different, and we always we love playing snooker, we love meeting people, and Robbie Murphy, who's the president of the ICC, Stephen and myself, and Maxine Cisse, who's heavily involved in World Snooker, we got together and we said, look, we'd love to organise an event. So we're lucky enough that we organised an event in Rochin in France. Fantastic event. We started off very small, 3 people in the men's, 3 in the masters. We also had 2 billiard players. And what we tried to do was get the wives involved, get the kids involved, get the girlfriends involved, and really have a great time. And I think that's one thing that we did in the end. We had a great time, and we started off from there.
Absolutely, yeah. And from the small beginnings in Rochin, with 8, it was a beautiful club we played in, if I remember right. It was absolutely a beautiful club. And you wouldn't have expected a club where I was in the middle of a housing estate. It was absolutely fantastic. But that's how it started off. And at the time, Maxime Cassis was secretary of the EBSA. And he was very keen to get France involved, and then we also were able to bring international snooker back to France and Ireland. Yeah, that's it.
So since that time in France, what countries have held the tournament, and what format is used?
Okay, so the four countries that are involved. So we've been to Edinburgh, we've been to Montpellier in France, we've been to Cookstown in the north of Ireland, and we've been to Rochin in France, and we've been to Youghal C.Y.M.S. This will be our 3rd year in Youghal C.Y.M.S. And that's the 4 countries involved.
Yeah, and I think we've been lucky as well, not only the 4 countries, but the people behind the teams in the 4 countries, because the reception that we get down here from the people, from the players, it's great to see our old friends coming. It's great to see the wives meeting up with each other, and it's fantastic. And we have had a number of other countries asked to get involved in something like this. And what we've always tried to do is we go to different clubs, we go to different countries, but we keep the same people involved in it, and we love it. We wouldn't change it. We're not world governing bodies. We're people who get together and make a difference to snooker. Yeah. So I think it's the love of snooker that got us involved.
It's the love of snooker as much about the friendship of the game. I say when you're on the table, anyone's played snooker from an early age. When you're on the table, you want to win your match. But when the match is over, have a beer, have a bit of fun. Always competitive on the table. We're always friendly off the table.
I mean, even one of our all masters that plays out of Youghal, Brendan Cooney. We don't mention him too much, but he's Mr. Snooker down here. But I think he won 11 or 12 matches out of a row. First time that was done in the master section, and that was amazing achievement at the time. So that's the type of people that we're bringing back into the game, getting them to play, and
absolutely,
we love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
The makeup of the team, lads, in terms of the numbers and the breakdown between seniors, masters, and.
Yeah, well, we started off, as you said earlier on, very simply. We had 3 men, 3 masters, and we had 2 billiard players. And part of the reason why we had Maxime Cassis would have liked us that Caron billiards is very popular in France, and he asked us could we take some billiards players over there. Now, billiards, wasn't something we decided to do, but because he asked us to incorporate, we did. But we moved on from there now, and now we incorporated a junior. So now we have the 4 men, 4 masters, and 1 junior.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the calibre of the juniors, we've had a couple of juniors who've gone on to try and get on the main tour. Absolutely. Because they were top juniors in it. Young McGuigan from Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. His father is one of the top professional snooker players up there. Mm-hmm. Fantastic player, and he even refed at one of the.
He refed my match.
He refed your match. You know what I mean?
Match, yeah,
and why would you say Mark Allen? Why would he ref a match? Mm-hmm. Because he loves being involved in that type of scenario. He loved meeting up his old friends, and there was no pressure on him, and he really enjoyed it. Absolutely. And we have a couple of fantastic young juniors, but also we got a lot of masters back into the game that had semi-retired, some ex-professionals. Now they've got the bite for the game again, and they really love it, and they're coming back in and they're ringing us on a regular basis. Lads, when is the tournament on again, and make sure I'm involved in it.
Well, even on the makeup of the teams, I think when Noel Landers from Youghal started off, he started off as a junior. This year he'll be representing Ireland in the men's team. So there's a nice leap for him. Yeah, absolutely.
The event has certainly been embraced by the IBSF and World Snooker. Jason Ferguson, Maxime Cassis, Jim Lacey. How did that come about, and what are the positives of that embrace from these individuals?
I suppose what's happening is Maxime Cassis, because he's heavily involved, and another gentleman that's helped us a number of years, Jim Lacey. I mean, without Jim, we wouldn't have got to where we are in this tournament, and Jim was a force behind us. He was encouraging us, he was supporting us. He got RIPSA, who's the Republic of Ireland Business and Snooker Association, to help us along and give us advice on how to run these tournaments. And he loved the concept of what we're trying to do. So we basically got out there, contacted people, got them involved, and through Maxine's involvement and Jim's involvement, then we started getting others. So we're delighted that when we're in Edinburgh that we're able to get
Yeah.
You know, the top man in world snooker, Jason Ferguson, and it was great to see him because not only did he come, he wanted to say a few words. He thought the concept of what we're trying to do about snooker was fantastic. He thought it was great that we're getting the wives, girlfriends, kids along to form part of the whole sort of our travels along as we're coming over the last couple of years and where we've got to.
Yeah, so much so that when we were in Edinburgh, that was just probably about 18 months ago now. He came down and he visited the club and it was fantastic. We stopped and he made a short speech and it was fantastic in the club. But actually, I don't know whether you remember, but when we were in Sheffield this year, he remembered all that. He remembered the fact that what we were doing and what we were trying to do and all the thing. But so it's very, very important. It's very important. I know Gymnasia is not with ribs anymore, but I know it was very, very, very important. I mean, he was instrumental in helping us along the way. So instrumental, so helpful.
True.
And Maxime Cassis as well.
And I'll also say, Jason, one thing he said, and it's about Youghal and it's about Cork. His wife, he proposed to his wife in Youghal, in Cork. And he travelled around here a good few times, so I'm not too sure whether he was on the border of Youghal and Cork or whether Youghal and Cork are going to claim that bit of between them. But certainly he proposed to his wife, and he is contemplating coming here this year. So if he does come, we're looking forward to seeing him here.
Yeah, fantastic.
And down throughout since 2012, we've had some great players who have taken part over the years. Would you be able to name a few more? Have you done that already?
Yeah, as Eddie,
2019, any different?
As you were saying there, even with the first one, we had the billiards players. So we're probably our first ex-international player to play was Eugene Hughes. So we had Eugene. Eugene was fantastic. He loved the idea. Unfortunately, in the second one, the billiards wasn't as we weren't as keen on the billiards, and we went with juniors instead of billiards. We now have at the moment this year we're hoping to have Patrick Wallace, Michael Judge, and Craig McGillivray, who was also on the main tour as well.
And of course we had another top billiard player as well, Philip Martin.
That's right, yeah.
Who's represented Ireland. So both Eugene and Philip were the number one in the billiards for a number of years. Staunch supporters of snooker and billiards around the country. And it's great to see them. But we've also got some ex-top internationals and current internationals like Robbie Murphy. You know, Robbie's the captain of the team. Brendan Thomas in the Masters.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ourselves play a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Brendan Cooney
Raymond.
plays a little bit. So there's a huge amount.
Yeah,
Raymond McAllister.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of top international players playing the tournament. And if you see them when they're down practicing, they want to win this tournament because it's big to them. And every time we meet up, the first thing they say is, lads, we're getting that trophy next year. We want to win that.
Yeah, what makes it different is that when you come to meet these guys, even as ex-professional players, that you know, when you meet these guys at the start of the tournament, it's not a handshake, it's a hug. It's a hug. It's the beauty of that. It's actually a hug. And what strikes me about it as well is the fact that, you know, before this started, say in 7 years ago, that Michael Judge and Patrick Wallace weren't playing that much. Now they're back on their top of the form in the Legends Tour now. Yeah. They're back playing partly because of this now.
Because they got the hunger.
Absolutely.
And they got the fight back
again. Absolutely.
So they love it. And Craig McGillivray, you mentioned him earlier on. Craig had given the game up for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Now he's actually back playing in the amateur circuit again. Because he got to play for the game again.
He booked his flights in November last year.
Yeah, she loves it. And I think he's going to have the biggest crowd coming over. Craig had given the game up for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Now he's actually back playing in the amateur circuit again. Because he got to play for the game again.
He booked his flights in November last year.
Yeah, she loves it. And I think he's going to have the biggest crowd coming over because every time he rings, there's more and more people wanting to come over because they all want to get involved.
Presently, it's confined to 4 countries. Would you see a change in this?
I think the concept of what we try to do is not to get too big and not to take over a role that other organisations already do. Because we're a small organisation, we're self-financed. We go out and do the fundraising ourselves. We raise some money. We hold the tournaments. We're a point of difference. We bring this tournament to venues that may not have enough tables to hold an international event. So we bring this international event to them. And I don't ever see us getting bigger than what we are because then we're competing with the big boys. We're competing on a different level. They're funded by organisations, either countries or sporting organisations. So we're sort of self-financed. So I don't ever see us going outside of the niche where we are.
No, I agree. I think 4 teams is enough, and 4 teams is the 4 teams we have now is absolutely perfect. We had Belgium there for a spell before, and when Belgium couldn't participate anymore, we had Scotland then to come on board then. But since the Scottish have come on board, they absolutely love it. Absolutely.
And I mean, we had a number of other countries that did ask us, and they approached us and said, "Is there a chance we can get involved?"
Yeah.
But you got to understand, we're not a national organisation. We're the ICC. We decided, a couple of us, when we all got together, including Brendan Cooney, I have to say, because Brendan has been pivotal in getting involved in this for the last couple of years. As soon as we said it, he drove straight up to us and said, right lads, what you want me to do? And that's the commitment that we have from the committee. So, but we will always keep it at 4. I don't ever see that we'll grow any bigger than that.
The future, your wish for 2019 in Youghal?
Well, we spoke about this on the way down, and we said if we can replicate the twice we've been here, this is our third time to have it in Youghal, so we can replicate either of them, or we'll be very, very happy. We're always very, very welcome. I mean, you know, we love this club. We love coming down here. This club is very similar to the club that Eddie and I play in. It's a 4-table club. It's not run as a business as such. It's run kind of as a club, and all the players pitch in. They clean the tables.
Family oriented.
But yeah, from our point of view, Youghal is the perfect venue for us because of the first of all the facilities. Secondly, the crowds we get in here to watch the participants playing. Youghal is.
And I think when one of the famous French snooker players, when he came and he seen what we did, and he was amazed. He looked at it. He didn't say too much, but at the end of the tournament, call it the Temple of Snooker. And I think if you go to the entrance of the club there, you'll see a sign out there stating that, and that's how much they fell in love with it. So as far as they're concerned, they'll come back here, and I mean, if we could hold it in Ireland every year, we do rotate it around each different country, but I suppose if we're going to hold it every year, it'd be hard to go better than what we have here.
Absolutely, and that guy you're talking about, Daniel Poli, he absolutely loves this time here. Absolutely love this time here. The French guys, they couldn't wait for it to be held in Ireland again.
No, and it's funny also as well, some of the players between masters and juniors and men's, when you go out and other people come in, they still want to come to the tournament. They'll even come as a referee or come as a supporter and even help out in the market. They want to be still involved.
Just be part of
it. They love what we're trying to do.
The friendship between the players and the competitiveness between the players, that's the concept of the tournament really, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, ever since I started playing snooker at 11 years of age, not that long ago now, but when I play snooker I want to win. When I play a snooker match I want to win a snooker match. But when I step off the table, as I said, it's unique when you're playing international tournaments and you're playing a guy from Poland or whatever the case may be, you shake his hand and as you do you're courteous, but you don't have the little chat afterwards, that maybe go for a beer, maybe have a little bit of, and it's just so different because if you can lose in a nice way, it's a nice way to lose. You understand?
And what did you say earlier on? The difference about this tournament is you don't shake the hand, you give them a hug.
You embrace.
And you say, God man, I haven't seen each other. Is it 12 months since we last seen each other?
Absolutely.
How are we all keeping? How's all the family?
Absolutely.
Did you bring the wife with you? Did you bring the kids with you? And
again.
We're all getting back into, God, 12 months. And let's, before we go lads, we need to see where we're going to hold this next year. Let's hammer it down and get it all organised.
Well, we know that plans are already in place for holding the next year, so we'll reveal them plans in October.
Yeah, and as I said, the last thing we'd like to say is, here's hoping that we can bring back the cup again.
Absolutely. See you in October.
Looking forward to it.